Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vessel and Voice podcast. I'm Kim Charlson, your host, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about healing. Can you ever be done healing? How does healing work? And what does it mean to actually be healed? Let's get into it. We got a couple text message fan mails from our texting line, and we'd like to answer some of these questions first before we get into today's episode all about healing. The first one is from Woodside, New York, and they write, "Hi, Kim and Monty. Can you provide more details about what it means to 1, engage in energetic practices? Is that just meditation, Reiki, tapping, other things? 2, coordinate with your spirit team slash specific energies. Does that mean connecting with your spirit team to get messages? It feels like coordinating would be something different. Thanks for your podcast and website. I'm a fan and I'm learning a lot." Thank you so much to you for writing in from Woodside, New York. So to answer the first question, when Monty talks about engaging in energetic practices, it can be any modality that you want. And he's clarified this many times because it's about the energetic transformation that you have when you do these energetic practices, no matter what it is. It could be Reiki, it could be energy healing of any type, it could be tapping, it could be working with crystals, it could be sound healing. It could just be going for a walk, going for a run. It does not matter what that form takes. What it is, though, is a transformation of your energy. So you go into the experience and your energy is one way, and you set the intention that your energy is going to be a different one when you come out. And when you come out of that energetic practice of whatever it is, your energy is in alignment with where you wanted it to go. Now, there's, of course, the levels of how well you do at kind of working with that energetic practice, how difficult the issue is that you're working on, all of those bits. But the energetic practice is the intention of going in one energetic state and you come out in a different energetic state. So in terms of, is there any requirement of what form it has to take? Absolutely not. Do what works best for you, where you can feel the biggest transformation. And that may also shift over time. For me, energy healing and doing meditations in a very specific way worked for a very long time and then eventually stopped working. And I had to figure out how to change it to make it work for me. And then sometimes certain sound healings work really well. I'll listen to them repeatedly and then suddenly it stops working for me. That's normal. It's because the transformation that's occurring in the middle, sometimes you've come to a point of completion with that. I think that also goes very well into today's episode about healing, which we'll get into in a little bit. But your second question, what does it mean to coordinate with your spirit team or specific energies? Now, when it comes to coordinating, it is where you are making your energy or allowing your energy really to be harmonious. So when we work with spirit beings, for example, whether they're spirit guides or even energies that we want to work with or different people, whatever that other consciousness is, they are in a certain energetic mode and we're in a certain energetic mode. And basically we want to get to the point where we're kind of vibing with each other. We're on an energetic, harmonious place. We don't have to be mirrors to each other. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to have the same energy, but it's more about creating that harmony and coordinating our energies. So then that way we can work effectively together. So it is different than just receiving messages. It is allowing yourself to come into that mode of really working with them. And that can be in the form of receiving messages. Sometimes working with spirit beings really is just getting that knowledge, getting that deeper perspective and that understanding, but it can also be entirely other things depending on what you're working with. Thank you so much for that question. Our next question comes from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it does have many parts to it. So we're just going to answer some small portions of it and make sure that this helps everyone that listens to the podcast. Hello, I love the episode about free will and timelines with Monty. I do have a couple of questions though. And then it goes on to ask about, I think, 15 to 20 different questions and then concludes with, this topic really confuses me. If you could please ask Monty to help me with these inquiries because I've been pondering them for years. And so far, I haven't received an answer from any of the spiritual mediums or podcasts that I listened to. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate your podcast and the work you and Monty do. And a lot of these questions that this person sent in has a lot to do with physical lives, incarnation, exit points. Do we set our lives and that they're predestined? There's a lot to unpack in here. It's very useful in many ways for us to discuss this on the podcast of when you have a lot of questions like this and you feel like you're not getting answers from anything that you're listening to, whether it's Monty, whether it's me that's sharing it, whether it's another medium, another podcast, if you feel that you have so many more questions and that nothing is answering them for you, it is actually about being uncomfortable with not knowing. It is coming to terms with that we can never know everything that there is to know. And that is a really big part of channeling as a practice. When I go into the channeling state, I have to allow myself to come into this position of, I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know what Monty's going to say. I don't know what they have to share today. I don't know what the answer is going to be to the question that someone maybe submitted or the topic that we've set in advance. And that is a big part of coming into that surrender of understanding we don't need to know all of these things that we may be wondering about. That's our logic mind that has to know. And that when we come to that point of acceptance of, I'll know when I need to know what it is, the information will come at the right time. It allows us to step back into our own energy instead of being constantly externally focused on finding answers. And that allows us to really come into our own knowing that maybe we don't know the answers to these questions that this person's asking or that you may be asking yourself, but that you come into the more important knowing for that time and place for where you are in your energy. But of course, if you have a lot of these questions, you feel like you're not getting the answers that you need, you can also always schedule a session with us. We can usually answer 8 to 10 questions in a channeling session with Monty and I. So if this was you that submitted this, we would urge you to schedule a session with us because a lot of these are very involved questions that we wouldn't be unable to answer in a podcast. But we thank you so much for contacting and sending in your request. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate the opportunity to speak about the surrender of not knowing at times. Thank you so much. Today's podcast is also another listener question, and this one comes from Raina. Raina writes, what does it mean to heal? What does it mean to be done healing? What do we do after we are healed? Sometimes I wonder if this need to continually heal stems from a belief that something is wrong with me or to avoid actually fully embracing joy in my life. And how can you be done healing while still embracing growth and personal evolution? This is a wonderful question because a lot of the spiritual space is all about healing all the time. And usually I've noticed, especially for healers, over time they get to a point of saying, I don't heal you, you heal yourself. You can be done healing whenever you want, but I'm always here to help you heal. And it's this knowing that they come into over time of that we are unhealed and healed at the same time. We are responsible for our own healing, but we can have tools and things that help to activate that healing. It's been an evolution that I have watched in lots of my peers in the spiritual space over time. And it's also made me think a lot about the capitalization and commercialization of healing. That if we are constantly focused on healing and being unhealed, we are constantly motivated to spend money on healing. It's a very interesting dichotomy of, can I ever be healed? Do I have to spend money on this? Can I do my own healing? How does healing work? Am I ever done healing? Is it just part of being human? Today's channeled guidance from Monty helps to answer some of these questions, but may also leave you with some other ones. So let's hear from Monty on what it means to heal and what it means to be done healing. We want to discuss today what it means to heal, as this is a concept that is very much the focus of so much spiritual work. And what we want you to know is what healing is, how it works, and how you can decide to end your healing. What it means to be wounded in the first place, of being in pain or being unhealed, is the core to defining what it means to be healed. What it means to be wounded, what it means to be in pain, in our perspective, is to be out of unity with your soul. Your soul is the energy of what you are, of who you are, of everything that you are. It is the energy that supplies the form of life for your physical incarnation, for every aspect of your being, your personality, of how you present and interact into the world. It is the life force that allows you to focus your consciousness in separation. Your soul is the energy of everything that you are, every aspect of your being, here and now, as well as in the past, as well as in the future. Your soul is the quantum reality of your essence, the being of who you are that exists in separation from all that is. And it is important to understand that that is what your soul is. It is the essence of the energy of your uniqueness in whatever form it comes in. And it does come in many different forms, both in this lifetime and across many different other lifetimes and existences. What it means to be wounded, to be unhealed, is that you are not in full union with your soul. You are not the full culmination of this energy, that you are existing in separation, but not being your soul. You are existing in separation, but not acting as your soul. You are existing in separation and not thinking like your soul. That is what it means to be unhealed. If we presume that the definition of being healed is to be in full union with your soul. Now, it is important to understand why the definition is to be in full union with your soul in the first place. When you are in full union with your soul, you exist in separation in the fullness of your being, but you are still in connection to all that is. You are independent in your own right. You are your own being, and yet you are connected to the all that is. Your soul acts in many ways as a bridge from your conscious reality of where you are in this time and place to the everything that you have ever been, to the everything that ever is, that ever will be, and ever has been, to the conscious reality of everything, to the universe. Your soul is the in-between of that in many ways. This energy of your soul then is your connection to everything, to that ascended consciousness that so many humans are seeking on a consistent basis. That to be ascended means to be unified with the universe, with the all that is, but to not be in conjunction with the all that is requires that you exist in separation. So how can you be an ascended being that exists in separation? It is the embodiment of your soul energies. It is being your soul, acting as your soul, thinking as your soul, being embodied as your soul. So, being unhealed is yet again to be not the embodiment of your soul when you are in human form, to be not acting, being, believing, thinking, everything as your soul, which also creates disconnection from the all that is. This is how you can hold the two states at once of being in separation and being the whole is to be in union with your soul and therefore union with the universe. And when you are not being in your soul, when you are not being that essence of who you are and being something else, you are creating a further separation, a further disconnection from the all that is, from the reality that your soul truly knows. So what it means to be unhealed is that you are consistently not behaving, acting, thinking, believing, being the energy of your soul in some way. So what is it that you are being? That is the question to ask when you are going through your healing. Who am I being if not myself? Who am I being if not this energy that is connected to the all that is? Who am I being that is something other than me? All healing of any type, whether it is physical healing, emotional healing, spiritual, energetic healing, it does not matter. They are all meant to bring you back into being who you are in whatever function that may be. And that includes acting, being, believing, embodying every other way that you can be yourself, we would say. So, what is important to understand is that it is a continual process of understanding when you are not being your soul and coming back into alignment, coming back into that state of being of you. Now, can you ever be fully healed? Why, yes, of course you can. You absolutely can be the full embodiment of your soul. You absolutely can behave like your soul in every way, to think, to believe like your soul in every way. And in certain moments of your life, you are fully and completely healed. In those moments when you feel that deep connection with yourself, with the universe, you are healed in that moment. In that moment, and it may last for just an instant, you are fully healed by our definition of being in union with your soul and the universe. Healing is possible for you. But it also can be very fleeting in that way of saying, ah, yes, but then I go back to these habits, to these ways of being that are not me. And it is very frustrating. We understand. But that is the process that you are going through, that all of us in separation are going through. Because in many ways, we see the others external to us, and we say, I would like to be like them. Because in many ways, we are trying to return to the all that is, that state of union. There is that inclination. But when you are out of union with your soul and being something other than you, that is not the path towards that unification. That is not being you fully and completely. That is being someone or something else. And so it takes you away from that path of ascension, of being in your body, but being here, but also being embodied, the energy of your soul in the universe. So it is that cycle, that process, the continual understanding of when you are not being yourself fully, when you are out of alignment with your soul, and to savor in the moments when you're healed and know that at any time you can return to them. So what it means is that you are always simultaneously done healing and also healing at the same time. Just in the same way that you are separate, but also part of all that is. Both of those realities exist and coexist at the same moment. It is an understanding that you are a complete being all the time, fully healed, fully embodied, fully yourself, but also being other things other than yourself. So what does it mean to be done healing? Well, it is in coming to an acceptance that both of those realities exist at the same time. And understanding that you are going through that process of spending more time in one or the other. That your consciousness in this quantum reality are focused on more one and then the other. And it is the prioritization of saying, I would like my consciousness to focus on the times when I am in union with my soul. I know I can get back there. I know I can be that. And so I'm just going to be it. I'm just going to be that. It is, of course, at many times a very difficult process. This is not to negate how difficult and how heavy these energies can be of that healing, of that letting go of those other ways of being that are not you, of coming into that awareness of the times that you have not been yourself. But as always, spending more time with the energy of your soul allows you to come into that healing, to be that energy on a consistent basis, to focus your consciousness on that energy allows you to be more healed. And it is coming to that understanding that you are done healing when you are focused on that conscious focus of your soul. We hope that this clarifies how to be in the healing process a bit further and helps you understand that the more that you focus on being the embodiment of your soul in this lifetime, the easier healing work will get. The easier you will recognize, oh, I am not being who I want to be. I am not being in union with my own energy, with the union with the divine. And I will come back into that in just a breath by just taking a breath, setting the intention to come back into that healed space and knowing in that moment you are healed. You are completely healed in that moment. We send you great love. That is all. Healing is a very difficult topic in many ways and a very hot button topic, especially when it gets past just emotional healing and behaving differently. When we start to get into the realm of physical healing and what we feel is possible for us, especially when we get into medical care, it gets very complicated emotionally very, very quickly. As someone that deals with a chronic illness that I've spoken about before, I totally understand the will I ever be healed again? Is this just my new normal of that I'm never going to be fully healed and be the way I was before? And there is a certain amount of, especially as we age, of coming to terms with our bodies slow down. They start to experience more aches and pains. That's part of our aging for most people. We can do a lot of things to help with that, to support it, but there is this understanding that our bodies, they age, they get older, they start to shut down, and eventually we will pass on from this life into the next one. There's also the idea of you can be in aches and pains and things like that and be completely healed. It is very difficult to hold this in our minds as humans when we are thinking about, okay, but my back hurts right now, Monty. How can I be healed in this moment? And it is all about looking at the energy of it. And sometimes the physical needs to catch up with that over time. It's something that I'm still thinking a lot about myself, as you can tell, as I'm really processing through this in my own way of coming to terms with, yes, I am healed, but I'm also unhealed. And that what it means to be healed is to be fully embodying my soul energies all the time. And that's something I'm constantly working on. I'm not sure if I will ever get there, but at the same time, I am fully embodying my soul all the time. It's that dichotomy of both of those states exist together. I know that you will probably have thoughts and questions about this, so we would love to hear from you. So please send us a text. And if you haven't had a chance yet to sign up for your free trial of the Awakened Authenticity community through the end of November, please come and join us. We would love to have you in there to join us and set your intentions for 2026 to help you become all that you are able and capable of being. We'll see you in the next one.